Well, hello everyone, and a very warm welcome to another episode of the Business Growth Mastery Show. Today, I am really pleased to have with us Cami Baker, who is a speaker, presenter, author, and creator of NetPLAYING. She has a real entrepreneurial streak in her and has had since the age of 8, when would you believe she was loan sharking from her own brother, collateral, and selling gum to kids at school for a profit. And since then has continued to find ways to make profit both for herself and her clients. She has a very diverse portfolio of experiences, which include owning a bar and restaurant on Panama City Beach for 7 years, then moving into real estate, a real shift, when she moved to New England, where under the guidance of her mentor, she managed to make $100,000 in the first year alone, which is pretty impressive. I'm sure you're going to agree with me, for a new line of work. And then over the past 15 years, it has been her desire to learn, grow, and succeed that's made her an expert at communications, body language, and building rapport and networking. Whether it be on the phone, whether face-to-face, virtually, and as I mentioned earlier, she's coined the very neat term NetPlay, which we will explain as we go along. So Cami, a very warm welcome to the show. I'm delighted to have you here on the show, and I'm sure the listeners are going to be delighted to hear from you.
Well, thank you for having me. It's funny when you said that about, can you believe that she was loan sharking and buying gum and selling it for profit? To me, I'm like, I can't believe other people don't do that. Why are you doing that? Why don't you see where there's a need and fill it and get paid, you know?
Yeah, but how far do we go with the family?
Oh, the stories I could tell.
Oh, I'm sure. And those we will explore on another day, for sure. I think I might want to get your brother in on the interview as well next time round. But before we start talking about networking and effective communications, why don't you share something about how you got into, specifically what inspired you and how you got to where you are now?
Oh, there have been so many things on my journey, but where I am today is, you mentioned that I own the bar. Mm-hmm. And way back in the day when I was 18, 19, 20, I worked in bars. I worked in bars for several years, and then I eventually owned one. And then you mentioned me getting into real estate. Well, when I first moved to New England, I had a mentor who did 100 plus deals a year. I worked with him and for him for 2 years. And then I started doing real estate and doing rather well because of his mentorship. And now, to answer your question, what has happened is over the last 10 years or so, I got involved in a business that was totally about networking. The name of the game was how to network, how to build relationships, how to be able to communicate with someone in such a way that they wanted to do business with you rather quickly. And so over the last 8 years, I have done case study after case study, and didn't even mean to. Like, it was just part of the business, was to help people learn how to network and do all those things. And one at a time, whether people were 18 or 80, whether they were in high school or, retired, whether they were wealthy or on their way, male, female, introvert, extrovert, what I found was that people just have the same fears, the same desires. And so because of all those case studies, a few years ago when that particular business involved also a business partner, which happened to be my husband, mm-hmm. And when there came a point where it was either marriage and the business or happiness and freedom, mm-hmm. I loved the business, but I just felt like I needed to do my own thing. And so I chose happiness and freedom, and here I am today because I thought, all these case studies, I don't need a specific company to do that for or with. I can do it myself for my clients and actually have way more freedom doing that. And freedom, discernment, and choice are my top 3 motivating factors or inspiration. I want to be able to discern and choose who I work with. So I created Mingle to Millions so that I could help people do that which I have learned how to do over the years. And by the way, if you're an introvert, don't worry, so am I. A lot of the networking experts I talk to are extroverts. They are naturally gregarious. They find it very easy, they always have, to build rapport and meet people. So I like to just put it right out there. Listen, don't think that I'm some big extrovert and have always been this way. It is a learned skill, and I can teach you how to do it.
I'm so pleased you mentioned that, because there is such a myth, and we're going to come to myths in a minute, but there is such a myth around this that actually the outer confidence is the real you. And so many people, as you say, learn that, and it is a learned behavior and can be a learned behavior. Of course, for some people it comes quite naturally, but for many it doesn't. It does not. And
well, might I say that that it is the real you? It is the real you. It is the real you. However, if you don't feel it right now, and if you weren't born with it, if it's not innate, it is the real you. Who I am right now, it is the real me. It's just that it's something that I had to develop with a new mindset. And one of the biggest ways to do that is to change your playgrounds and playmates. There was a time in my life where the people around me were not confident. They were cocky, arrogant, and going down a path of addiction and destruction.
Yeah.
So I'm totally transparent about that and the authenticity of where I was and where I am today.
Yeah.
And being able to come to a place where I totally where I had this kind of people in my life, come to a place where I had no one in my life. I had to totally just disassociate for everyone that I knew. And from that place, I came to this side, which is the positive, which is the looking forward, which is the inspiration. So there is a place in your life where you can develop these skills. And so I talk to people about, who are you being? Who are you being when you go out and network and when you talk to other people? Because it is the real me, and it can be the real you. It's just that you have to find that real you in you and get past all those fears and insecurities.
Absolutely. And that's you took the words out of my mouth, because when I said it doesn't appear to be the real you, it's how you associate yourself and how you define yourself at that point. But a lot of people I hear and I talk to will say, I can't bear networking sessions because that's just not me. And as you say, they need to learn some of those behaviors, but also redefine themselves and be themselves, be their authentic selves, so that when they approach someone, there isn't that falseness that comes through. So that leads us very nicely into, the whole issue of networking. I know that whether I talk to my online clients, whether I talk to my offline clients, most of them will look very anxious or exhausted by the prospect of networking and the idea of networking. So in your experience, why, although they know they have to do it, I should say, so why, in your experience, do so many independent business owners and entrepreneurs fail to network or fail to network effectively, even though they should?
First of all, that is why I trademarked the word net play. Because network, the word networking, actually network, we create a network. We're creating a network. There's nothing wrong with the word network. It's networking. It's networking that people are really opposed to. Just in general, the word itself connotates, standoff, dread, anxiety, boring, forced. I did an event the other day where I asked people what did that word mean to them, and I wrote on the board, and one of the words was forced.
Yeah.
Right? So that's why I actually trademarked that word to help people have another way of looking at it. There's a shift in mindset from, I'm going to one of those stinking networking things again, or I'm going to go play. Let's go play. How can we go play with other human beings and have fun? So to answer your question, I think that people were born in general, whether you're introverted or extroverted, we all need, our innate needs are food, water, shelter, and human connection.
Absolutely.
They say that babies that are in an incubator, if they're not held, if they're not touched, if they're not shown some love, they will die, because they need that part of life.
Yeah.
And so people come out wanting to be that way. And somewhere along the line, at school, our friends, our family make us start feeling like we have to prove ourselves. We're not good enough. If you answer the question wrong, people laugh at you. So all of these things that happen make people feel very insecure. And when going into a networking situation, there's the anxiety of, am I going to say the right thing? Am I going to be accepted? Am I going to be rejected? Are people going to like me? Do I smell okay? Did I wear the right thing? Right? Am I going to the right place? When I get there, there's going to be clicks formed. How do I go up and talk to people? And so they create all this anxiety in their head. And so what I help people do is get from here to here, Stop thinking about networking and what am I going to say and do I look okay and I've got all these, I don't know how to follow it. It's just too much. Let's just go have a glass of wine. And here, where we are thinking, how can I go connect with another human being? How can I make this fun? How can I just engage with other people so that I can create relationships and therefore create the resources and the revenue that rock?
Right. So a real shift from head to heart. That's what we're looking for here. Absolutely. And I completely agree with you. And so many of us are pressurized, not just by ourselves, but the society's pressures on us. As you say, we have our own views about what is right, wrong, and what we may or may not fit in to do. But society also puts so many pressures on us, in terms of in the business world of how one should behave. I completely agree with you. And we need you do a wonderful job of shifting that in one word. I just love it. I absolutely love the shift from the anxiety-driven networking to net play. Who can not like net play? I mean, frankly, if you turn it on its head, even the most person who's dreading it the most will see something positive in that, arrangement.
Well, for me, it's a matter of, I love what you just said, and I will also say that there will be people who won't like that word, and they won't understand it, and they'll think it's silly or whatever, but that's okay, because they're just not my people.
Yeah.
And there's so many people in the world that want to shift their mindset, or maybe they don't even know that they want to shift it. They don't even know that they can shift it. It's not even top. All they're thinking is, I want to make more money, or I want to make a difference, or I don't want to waste my time anymore with these networking things. They don't even know that it's a matter of just shifting their mindset. But for the people that meet me, that hear how I explain it, when they are like you and they say, "Ooh, I like that. That's different." You're my kind of people because you understand that. And, when I say going from our head to our heart, my people in general are entrepreneur, number one. Number two, they are heart-centered and visionary. So some people might say, well, Cami, I'm already in my heart. You're in your heart when you're doing your magic, when you're doing your mission, when you are working with your client. However, a lot of heart-centered people, the issue that they have is that they're in their head about, how do I explain what I do? Are people going to judge me because they think I'm too woo-woo or whatever? Yeah. That story that's going on is what's keeping them from being able to network powerfully. And by the way, networking or net playing is not just an event that we schedule and put on our calendar for 6 p.m. on Wednesday, or for that 3-day event in California that we're going to. It's anytime, anywhere. And you mentioned online and people that are on social media business. This has to do with everything, whether you're face-to-face in a live event, or whether you are sending emails, or whether you are posting things on Facebook. There is a shift in mindset about what are we posting, right? Absolutely. How are we talking to people? And I'll give you one example, and then I'll let you take back over. When we are sending an email, I'll give you a prime example. The difference between the word but and the word and. These are little nuances, but when we say to somebody in an email or a post, I would love to meet with you, but I got to check my schedule. I would love to meet with you, and I need to check my schedule. Two totally different comments, but I got to check my schedule says, I really don't want to meet with you. Let me go see if I have an excuse. And let me check my schedule says, I really do want to meet with you. I just want to have integrity and not double book myself.
Yeah.
So these tiny little tweaks that we are not always conscious of, when we have a coach to say, listen, here's the potholes, here's what's happening, here's where the hiccups are that are keeping us from building those relationships properly, that's when we have that shift.
I couldn't agree more. I have endless conversations with my clients around the verbal non-verbals, and the biggest danger around emails is it's a fantastic opportunity, and now we all use it all the time, but become so used to using it, sometimes a bit blasé, as you say. The slip of one word can be so misinterpreted. And when we're face-to-face, the minute I say that to you, and your face gives away the fact that you don't look very impressed that I'm suggesting I might be batting you off, I can retrieve that situation. But in an email, of course, it's a lost cause. The damage is done. You know.
Absolutely. And people want to do business with people that are confident, that have an inner strength and exuberant empowerment. And when we say something in an email like, if we get together, or we can say when we get together. Yeah. Huge difference in these tiny words. And what you mean might be when we get together, I'm going to XYZ. But when you say if we get together, now we're putting in that doubt and that inability to take control of the situation, etc. So truly, there's so many different nuances. Thank you for pointing them out.
Yeah, absolutely. And the same will be true when you're face-to-face with someone in the networking situation. In a networking event, you're going to have to choose your words, but at least you will have the other person's reaction, hopefully, to be able to recover from that situation. Okay, so let's get to one of my favorite bits of the show, which is the myth busting, because there are so many myths around this. I want you to identify some of the myths for me and then bust them, and tell me what you think are some of your top 4 or 5 myths in this situation.
So I'll start with the one that we've already mentioned a little bit with, is the myth that people who are extroverted are natural networkers and people who are introverted have a hard time. I'll flip it around and give you a different example. I have a friend that I go out networking with. She actually just created my beautiful sizzle reels that are awesome. Very artistic. She's bubbly. She is friendly. You cannot get this woman to stop talking. But I tease her about that because I understand the different personalities. And I tell her I have to bite down and just let her talk sometimes, because I just want to say, look, let's get on with it. But we were at an event. She went with me to one of my speaking engagements about a month ago. And here's what's interesting. She's extroverted as far as when you meet her, she exudes friendly bubbiness. But shared with me that when she gets to a networking event, she shuts down. Doesn't know who to talk to, doesn't want to offend anyone, doesn't want to interrupt anyone, doesn't want to this. And so at this event that I did, every event that I do, I start out with having people say, hey, it's so nice to meet you, and actually hugging a stranger. And at first people are like, what? But then when they start, they can't stop. And so when I did that exercise, she shared with me that gave her the chance to go break the ice with someone, and then she felt like she knew somebody in the room. So the first myth is extroverts are natural networkers, and introverts have to really work on it or just can't do it. And I could go on about that for 2 hours about the introvert versus extrovert. So that myth is busted, because I'm an introvert. Introverts typically do not want to be the life of the party. They would rather be at home with a book or watching a movie. And there's a million different other things, but overall, I would much rather be at home or alone, although I do love being on stage because I love teaching. So.
Right. So you sort of have a foot in each camp, to be honest.
Well, I have a foot in each camp because this is what I do. And exactly. I believe that anyone that you hire, anyone that you work with, anyone that you follow, if they're not practicing what they preach, if they're not living in their own integrity, shame on you for bothering to follow them. If you're following someone that's going to teach you about financial security and they're broke as a joke,
I know.
You need to reevaluate. If you're following someone to teach you about health and they're overweight and unhappy, then, so that's one of the reasons why, especially when I get on the stage like I am right now with you, I've turned it on. This is what I do. If I'm sending an email, if I'm doing something on Facebook, if I'm doing the Facebook Live, I am on stage.
Yeah.
When I'm at home, I don't have my makeup on like this. I'm not, but it's a learned skill.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. Myth number 2.
Myth number two, gosh, there's so many. Myth number 2 would be that it's okay to just show up at an event and pass your card out to anybody and everybody thinking that they're going to call you. And I don't know if this is exactly a myth, but it is a mindset. I'm going to call your myths mindsets, if I may.
That's fine.
The mindset is, okay, I got to be there. See, it starts at 7. I'll roll in at 7:15. I'll hand out 28 cards. I'll leave at 7:45. And I've networked and I've done leads. And I can tell my wife that I did it. I can tell my boss I went. I've done it. And that just doesn't work. And you've seen it. I've seen it in the UK, in the United States, any world, USA, anywhere. People walk in, they're not focused, they hand out a bunch of cards to strangers that they don't know, that are never going to call them, and they have some misconception that that works.
Right. And absolutely, we've seen them. They are totally disengaged. They're almost glazed. You know, it doesn't matter who's saying what. They're just too busy, as you say, handing out the cards and collecting them as well, not just handing them out, just collecting millions of cards as well. So it's about the less of the passive, much more intentional behavior. And I know I'm borrowing your words here, but I'm deliberately doing so because I love your messages here. But definitely the preparation and the intention here.
Yes, and another mindset, actually, now that you said the glazed over, I love how things just parlay into the next.
Yeah.
You know, another mindset shift that can be very helpful is the glazed over thing. Think about the shark.
Yeah.
When the shark grabs a hold of something, their eyes do glaze over to protect their eyes. So when people are going through the room with that glazed look on their face, you can literally see the fin on their head. What do you do? Oh, never mind. What do you do? Oh, here's my card. What do you do? Oh, that's what you do? I want to sell you something.
Yeah, the desperation.
Well, the desperation and the fear. And, you know, you mentioned earlier that socially people have putting pressures on us. And so it's the fear, it's the scarcity mindset, it's the survival mindset. It's, I got a mortgage to pay, I got a wife to impress, I got people at the office that I need to compete with, I got kids to put in college. Fear, scarcity, dun, where can I get somebody to sign something? And so when we can let go of that, just take a deep breath and just be present. Get present in the room and focus on 3 to 5 as opposed to the masses.
Excellent tip. Okay, another one.
All right. So that leads me into another one. Focus on the few and not the many. Focus on the few and not the many. When I first started going to networking events, I literally would have a stack of cards and I would fan them out and I would take a picture of myself and send it to my ex-husband. Look at this, I got all these cards. And to go out and get tons of cards, grab one off of every table, pass them around the room, whatever that looks like. And for me, being a shark at the time, and the reason I understand all these personalities and different ways of being is because I have been all of them. I know what it's like to be the shark. I know what it's like to be the prey, being chased by the sharks, all of that stuff. And so when we are gathering that big stack of cards, being the card collector instead of the business builder, when we're a card collector, we have that false sense of security that I've got this ton of cards. And so I don't know if this is the same myth or mindset, but people that have the stacks of cards on their desk, in their drawer, in their pocket, in their suit jacket, in their purse, in their computer case, whatever that is, it's because they're gathering all of these cards and they're not following up. So the mindset shift is, instead of grabbing all these cards and thinking that you've met all these people and that you have all these leads, which is a false sense of security,
absolutely,
focus on 3 to 5 and follow up within a week, which, if I may, gets into my next myth or mindset or tip, which is do not take a card unless you have full intention of following up with that person. And because you do have full intention, do it within a week, within 3 days, really. 3 days, really. However, depending on, if you're traveling and it's, or whatever that looks like, at least within a week, because people have a short attention span. And so you want to continue building that relationship. And actually, another tip or myth we can bust, set up the follow-up right then and there. You had a 5-10 minute conversation. You enjoyed one another's company. You are still needing to meet other people. I say, Hero, I loved our conversation. I love you. Here's my card. Let me get your card. Let's finish this conversation because I know you got a lot of people you want to talk to. Let me get out my phone. Let's talk on Tuesday at 4. Awesome. Done deal. And we move on. We already did our follow-up. And now we don't have to worry about what am I going to say? How am I going to follow up? You already did it.
Yeah, and got their agreement. You're not even asking permission at that point. You've got their agreement, so it's a much more comfortable position then to go into that next discussion with them. They're a captive audience. I couldn't agree more. Wonderful tip. So our audience are going to be both bricks and mortar and online businesses. And it's important for both groups to network. But I guess some of the people on the call will be wondering, do the strategies for networking have to differ if you're a bricks and mortar type business as opposed to an online, or vice versa?
You know, you made a comment earlier about the online, or I made a comment about the emailing and texting. And it actually made me think at that particular moment, a lot of times people say that to me, well, my people or I do business online. I don't need to learn how to network. What?
That's
Shame
why I'm
on
asking
you.
the question, because a lot of people say the same to me.
So what I was thinking a few minutes ago when something was said is that here's the thing. These skills are even more important online. And here's what I mean. Like you said, this is what made me think of it. If you're face-to-face, when I'm face-to-face and I say, you know, I'd really love to meet with you, but let me check. I mean, I really love to meet with you. Let me check my schedule. Like I can correct myself right then and there and suck it back in and say the right thing. When we're online and we're Facebooking and we're LinkedIning and we're whatever that looks like, we need to be even more intentional. On a daily basis, I'll be sending an email and I'll be just, and I have to stop myself, delete, not when we meet, right? So we have to be intentional. So people who are networking, playing online need these skills even more, because right now you and you're in another country. We are 6 hours apart.
Absolutely.
But we're net playing, and I'm using my body language. If I was sitting here like this and not having any body language at all and having no verbal change in pace and tonality, this is what you would be getting from me right now. And it would not be. So the point is that you need that. When we're face to face, we have a more intense energy. They can see our body language, etc. So if we're doing business online, if I was on the phone with you, you would hear my enthusiasm by the way I'm moving my body.
Absolutely.
And so social media, online, virtual, face to face. As a matter of fact, I have a program called Fear to Fierce, phone, face to face, and follow up. How to kill it in all of those areas.
Absolutely.
So yes, thank you for bringing that up and busting that myth.
Yes.
Because the new myth with our new way of doing business and our new way of being online and doing networking this way is that you don't need to know how to network to be online. You need to learn how to network and body language and rapport build and communicate and conversate, to collaborate, even more so online.
I couldn't agree more. And of course, the one thing is to point out is that we all now use the social media platforms, and many people think that that's the only way to net play, in your words, if you're an online business. But you can still network with people just as we are now, virtually, and still do it face to face, or you can do it in a group as well. And there are many opportunities for that, you know. So,
well, as a matter of fact, the people who are doing business online, unless you live in Antarctica, where you're online and some airplane drops a big pallet of food for you every 6 months, and you go out and retrieve it and do your business online, unless that's exactly the case, you are talking to human beings every day.
yeah.
And if you're not every day, every now and then you need to meet someone face to face to discuss a contract or to negotiate something or whatever that looks like. And so this is about bridging the humanity gap in any conversations that we are having. And just like you and I have met through a group that is for all intents and purposes, we could call it online marketing. We are all coaches. We are all trainers of sorts. I love to be personal and on stage, but the people that I meet that are flat out doing it online, we're all going to be meeting in a few days. And there's going to be 500 of us in a room. And we're going to be talking about joint venturing and affiliate marketing, and we're going to be brainstorming, and we're going to leave with so many ideas. And that all came because we were in a room with other people and we're communicating, etc. So online businesses, people that do their thing from the comfort of their own home, still need to know how, when the moment is right. Just like you and I, we met because I was sending something in the Facebook group using the language that made you feel like, hey, I'd like to meet this person. Then we did a little bit more of this. We both had enough of a professional stance and a little bit of fun energy that now we're collaborating and doing videos. I've never met you personally, but when I see you now, instead of, hi, my name's Cami Baker, it will be, oh my dear God, thank God we get to touch.
Yes, exactly. A big hug. I'm waiting for a big hug. Absolutely. One of the things I want to explore with you, Cami, and I think it's really, for me, when I'm talking to people who are networking, hopefully moving on to net playing, is that a lot of people see networking as a one-off entity, a one-off process, rather than what we would term, you and I would term, strategic networking. So would you explain to the audience what you understand as strategic networking and why that's much more important than the dipping in and out that happens around networking generally?
So the word that you're using is strategic. I would call it intentional. And I actually, the three pillars of how I explain it and lay it out is, have intention, to pay attention, so that you have retention.
Wonderful. Say that again for the
yes. We want to have the intention. And when I say have the intention, it's have the intention of posturing, presenting, packaging the product, which is me or you, so that we are perceived and received in the manner of which we want people to perceive and receive us. So have the intention before the event, at the event, after the event, to pay attention to all of these little nuances that we are putting out in our body language. Our bodies are screaming at people before we open our mouth. Our bodies are screaming. We see people across the room and we think, wow, that guy's got it going on, or I don't know what it is about her, but I just get a weird feeling. Yeah, that's our body language.
We need to avoid her.
Right? So there's having the intention to pay attention to all the details. The devil is in the details, as they say, so that we have retention of resources, relationships, and revenue.
Wonderful.
So that is the strategic net playing, is to put up those three pillars so that instead of making more time to network, we are leveraging our time through networking. There's a different spin on it.
Absolutely. And that's the big difference to, oh my God, I've got to turn up, and 2 minutes before jumping out of a car and running in with your cards. No preparation, no real intention, no attention to what you're going to be, how you're going to present yourself, or indeed how others are going to perceive you, and what you want to get out of it. I'm amazed at the number of people who turn up to these events without even having thought, forget how am I going to be presenting myself, but what am I going to get out of it? People give up 2-3 hours of their time by the time they've driven there, driven back, etc., and they have no concept of what outcomes they want before they've even got there.
2-3 hours, 2-3 times a week, 12, 14, 18 times a month, etc., and they get business cards.
Yeah. Well, one could build a house on the business cards.
And don't follow up on time. Oh my dear God! I always say, what are people going to do with all these? What are they going to do? Are they going to wallpaper their bathroom? Like, I don't like at the bar. You see the bars with the labels from the beer all over the bar. Where are they going to take these business cards and
put them on?
So the thing is that they are not having the intention, and that's why someone like myself, who this is my focus, this is my profession, this is a skill that I have learned. That's why someone like myself can help point out all these things. If you're a doctor, that's what you've studied. And I've worked with doctors that have no networking ability. You name a profession, financial advisors, real estate agents, network marketers. Oh my dear God, network marketers, if you're building a network by networking, let's be intentional about it.
Yeah.
And so it's okay that that's how people, where they're coming from. That's where I meet them where they're at, because they just don't know what they don't know. I didn't either. I was really, really ignorant. I was grabbing a lot of cards, and even though I'm introverted, I'm also a driver personality, and so I was aggressive enough to do business. But what happened was, once I got into the actual, I am building my business via networking, I got really clear on really focusing in on, wow, people are having a real hard time with this. Not just one person, not just a few. I've been to thousands of events, thousands of business meetings, and it is an epidemic. At every event I go to, I meet the same people, if you will, different names, same situations over and over of, here's my card. And I've got to where now, I did an event 6 weeks ago. Guy said, is literally spraying his card everywhere. And he hands me his card, and I said, what do you want me to do with that? And he said, well, because now he wasn't expecting that. He's like, well, I want you to call me. And I said, I don't even know you. I said, why don't we see if we like each other first?
Or have anything in common.
Why don't we have just a tiny little date right here before I decide if I want to go out with you? Like talk about going straight for it with no foreplay. Here's my card.
Yeah,
you know?
Absolutely. So brash in their behavior at times. Well, I want to ask you for your number one tip for business owners who want to network and hopefully net play as a result of this conversation effectively. Your number one.
For the people who are not doing it effectively is because they are not focused and they don't know what they don't know. So be okay with the fact that you don't know what you don't know, and change your associations, including getting some type of mentor or coach. There are not that many out there that will actually teach you how to network. However, there's all kinds of books you can read. There's all kinds of tapes you can listen to. There's all kinds of seminars on personal development and growth. So the tip would be, start to grow yourself. Plus, the more you read, the more of these audios you can listen to in the car. Don't listen to the radio. Don't listen to the news. Stop with the politics. Listen to some personal development stuff, because here's what happens. You start to grow as a person, because as we said before, who are you being? When you walk in that room, are you confident? Do you feel like you have something to offer other people that's of value? Do you have conversations that you can have with people? When you listen to this personal development, you start to feel more confident. You have more interesting things to talk about. You know, you're more engaging. And as we have personal development, we start to see, okay, here's a place where I really see now that I'm lacking in this. And you can get a coach or a mentor or join a group program or something like that. I have invested last year alone, I invested $43,000 in personal coaching. $3,000, and that's not including all the meals and things like that. I mean, probably more like 50. But investing that is what helps me to be a better coach. The more I coach people, the more I know. The more I know, the more I know I don't know, and the more I know I need to know.
Oh, absolutely.
And so the more that I coach people, the more coaching I get, so that I can bring the worm back to the baby birds, because I'm a baby bird and somebody else is feeding me a worm. So it's all about transference of knowledge. Knowledge is not power until we apply it, but we got to get the knowledge first. So my biggest tip is learn to learn. Get some CDs, some audios, audibles that you can listen to in the car. Read a couple of books about personalities and body language, and learning how to create that rapport with people. Because once you start learning, you're going to know you're going to know that you don't know everything, and you're going to know that you need to know more.
Perfect. And if in the meantime that you haven't got a chance to go and get the tapes or whatever, the biggest takeaway for me from today has been the very simple but effective process that you've outlined, which is about being intentional, by being prepared, and that leading to the attention that you need to give to the whole process, to yourself and the whole process. And of course, that then leads to the retention. I love that. Intention, attention, retention. So that for me is the biggest takeaway from today. So Cami, you've given us some wonderful gems today. As we come to the end of this interview, before we go, I want to ensure that the listeners know where to find out more about you, especially if they want to understand in detail those wonderful tips that you've just given us today about yourself, about your products, your services, and most importantly, I know you very kindly are offering a complimentary copy of your book that gives 10 guaranteed ways to become an even better networker. Now, who on earth can resist that? I'm going to get myself a copy straight away. But it's, even if you are networking now, go and check it out so that you can see where are the little chinks that you can improve on, or if you are the other end of the scale of the spectrum where you feel that you are absolutely hating networking, this is going to be an immense resource for you. So Cami, where do they go and get it?
Well, people are hating networking because they're stuck in their head. Let me just throw that out real quick. Anytime we are avoiding, resisting, hating something, it's because we're stuck in our head thinking about ourselves. It's our ego that's in the way. When we can let go of me, what am I going to say? How do I love people like me? And get into our heart. How can I be a place of contribution? How can I walk in this place and just offer my help? We can be pulled forth into going. So to answer your question, I'm an open book. It is real easy to find me as long as you spell it right. It's Cami Baker. It's not Tammy Baker or Candy Baker. It's Cami Baker, and it's spelled C as in Charles, A as in Apple, M as in Mary, I as in Ingrid. Cami Baker. On the homepage, you can get the 10 tips to take the work out of networking. And also, what was I going to share? Oh, Facebook. I've got a ton of videos, 2, 3, 4-minute videos about a lot of different tips. So if you go to my Facebook public figure page, which is Cami Baker, and like that, you'll be able to sit in on some of the live videos that I do, and you can go back through the feed and just see dozens of them.
You took the thunder out from me, because I was about to say, the complimentary book will be exceptionally helpful for you to gauge how to become a better networker. But if you want the tips that Cami gives almost on a daily basis, if not on a daily basis, definitely go and check out the Facebook live events that she does, because there are some amazing tips in there. So Cami, just before we wrap up, any final words?
When you get to an event, and as I'm going to say it again, net playing is not an event. It's what we do every day. But when we're thinking about an event, when you get there, take a deep breath.
Yeah.
Get present. Get present in your body. Stop looking at your text. Stop running in. Just get really present. Just get centered for a couple of seconds. Think about, how can I be a place of contribution? Who can I meet in there that I can help? How can I be of service? Because when we get in a place of how can I be of service, it helps us get from here to here. And even my heart-centered entrepreneur friends who do their business from here, they get in here before they walk into the event. What am I going to say? How am I going to explain myself? What if people think I'm too woo-woo? What if they resist me or up? Who can I help? My services are so powerful. I know that there's a lot of people in there that need what I have. I am going to be able to influence and impact hundreds and thousands of people just from being in that room, because there's someone that I can help. And when I help them, they in turn are going to help hundreds and thousands of other people. How can I put my ego aside, get into my heart, help one person that will change the world? Because when you think about it that way, you walk in there with some power, with some presence, posture, on purpose, and now you're not afraid of it. Now you can't wait in there.
Fantastic tip. Flip it on its head and go in there with the view of assisting someone else, and you will come out good at the end of it. Cami, thank you so much. It's been a privilege interviewing you on for the show, and we look forward to you coming back and sharing more with us in due course.
I got tons of it anytime you want me, sister.
Bye for now.